Hey, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed the introductory yesterday that I gave for myself, See and Create Media, what I plan on using the platform for. One of the things that I definitely mentioned yesterday was just, this is going to be an organic way to connect with some pretty amazing people who I've been able to meet, learn from, work with directly as a patient. And I kind of call this like cluster of team members my Avengers team because without these people, I would not have accelerated the way that I did. They all played a very different role through different steps of the healing journey. One of my favorites that I'm so glad I'm starting out with her because it really is such a great way to kick off health, raising your frequency, cleaning so much of what years and years and years of just trying to live, trying to survive naturally, trauma that you were born with, you didn't necessarily ask to be born with, but we're all I don't even wanna use the word guilty of it, but it all comes along with us for the journey, and then for me personally, I can, truthfully speak about there are a lot of other things that I added to it just through, some of the stuff I talked about, a lot of family things and which, later we'll definitely get into on the channel. It's a great story to tell, especially when I hit that dark night of the soul point. Let me go ahead and stay on track with our guest because she's amazing. Like I said, funny, very ironic. Her company name has the word vital in it because she played that role in this healing journey for me. I like to say it was just once I reached the point of being ready, it was just a thrust into everything. So I have Whitney here from Vital Energetics in Houston, but Whitney takes care of people all around the world. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, all around the world.
All around the world. So, yeah, so Whitney and I crossed paths through a mutual friend. She just, was going through a lot in life, and then it just felt like it was like, "Wow, like, you're back." Like, it just it weighed heavy in my heart, just a transition of what, this friend was going through. So to just see almost like a return to the soul, the personality, um, laughter, all the things that were meant to be in life was just incredible. So I was like, "What are you doing?" I know you're doing more than just drinking hot tea at home, followed by another friend. This kind of how this works, which is the need for this platform, go spread the word, go tell. And that's exactly what they did in this friendship circle. And another one did her assessment. And after that, once she told me her experience with this assessment, her results, and how could she have known there was something in here, like I was talking about those breadcrumbs yesterday. Those breadcrumbs were just on the trail to get with this woman what she was doing, what she was working on, and this was back in the beginning of 24. I'm gonna go ahead because she is the one who I'm very excited to hear from. At the end, we'll share all of her information because this is meant for you to interact. This is meant for you to reach out to her if you're like, "This is what I need." All within due time, but I highly recommend you just at least start out following her, get on her newsletter, look into her website. But I will go ahead and pass over to you. Whitney, thank you again so much for joining me.
Tracy, thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm so excited that you asked me to be a guest on your YouTube channel. And I have so much to say. I have to keep me on track because I don't want to
Uh,
go off. But we did meet through a mutual friend, and that mutual friend and I had worked together for a long time. And she witnessed me go through the initial stages of a really tragic event, which threw me off. And then after I had started to work on myself, I recommended that she do the same thing that I was doing, and it elevated her very quickly, like, to the same level, and so she like you said, she found herself again, like, you reconnected as closer friends because of it. She was happier and, like, literally living the life that she was meant to live because she kinda got out of that, like, funk and was, see the light, as some might say. So, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's different. And that's one thing that this journey has taught me. Every single person is different because our souls have gone through different paths. And then when we're brought back to do it all over again, what somebody, could have been carrying in another lifetime that was so heavy. They just think there's all these things wrong with them. I can't get off of the bottle because, or I have trauma because, and you literally are like, give it all to me. Like the ancient goddesses, you're like, give
Right.
it all to me. The worse you are, oh, the more I am going to work to know what to do with you, or I already know what to do with you because I've worked with this type of patient, this type of situation. Why don't you go ahead and start by telling us about vital energetics, what you do. Obviously, that's a big statement because you do quite a bit. It's like you're not a juice cleanse, company. Talk to us about detox, wellness, healing environment.
Okay, so like she said, I'm Whitney. I'm the owner of Vital Energetics. And this whole business kind of started out of a tragedy, which we get into a little bit later. But it's a business of possibilities, essentially. And so what Vital Energetics is it's a holistic health and wellness company, but I use very cutting edge technology in combination with some traditional functional medicine style healing modalities. I like to use the word self healing. So I self healed myself and I teach other people how to initiate the stages of healing themselves as well. So I use a couple of high pieces of tech. So I have a sound frequency device called the Rasha. That's really what I started with. That's the very first thing that I used along my journey. And I also, then after that, that worked so well. I started doing a lot of research into how was it possible that sound could do what it did for me? Started adding tech. So they added what's called a Biofield scanner to the lineup. And that really took the results to the next level because I don't use the Biofield scanner as most people do. Most people use those to give you biofeedback sessions. I don't use for that at all. I actually really never feedback anybody or myself. I just use it as a tool to see what's under the surface before things become physical, or a lot of times things have already been physical, but they're in the unseen. So we use that ahead of time and then come up with a custom wellness plan for the individual based on the items we found in the biofield scan. And the craziest part about it is it's not connected to you. Like Tracy said, I work with people all over the world. I have clients in Canada, Brazil, England, everywhere, all over. I probably need to get a map in here and like start putting a pin for all these people come from. But the biofield scan computer can reach you without needing to be connected. And to be honest, if I didn't need the Wi-Fi to talk to people on Zoom, I don't even use Wi-Fi to get the biofield scanner to get me the data. It uses quantum entanglement. Okay.
I just
So
say she means that. When
yeah,
we set up a session, I was like, "Okay, so, I'm not a big fan of needles, so, how much blood are you gonna need?" Or, "Well, what time do I go to your office?" And it was like, "Girl, no, we that's
I
out."
don't have to have this, but it does work better if you do a biofield scan. If I have a selfie of you, I don't think in Tracy's case I even used a
Mm-mm.
selfie. I do ask that now just because I feel like it works a little bit better. But yeah, no blood, no saliva, nothing. It's all done virtually. That's how I can work with anyone, anywhere in the world. A selfie, if you're willing, like a recent selfie, just you in it with nobody else in the background. Your photo holds bioenergetic information about yourself. So I did a bioscan on one of my clients' babies. Not my favorite place to go, right? But I did it because she wanted me to, and she sent me a photo of the baby, and in the background he was propped up on a couch with a little pillow behind him. And one of the very first things on the biofield scanner read was the synthetic fabrics from the couch pillow.
Oh my
So
god.
who's in the photo with you does matter. So like literally I'm pulling up like, you know, couch pillow because it's in the photo, it's like reading the signature of the synthetic fabric stuffing in the freaking pillow. Yeah.
Let's touch base on what's in the room or what are you doing? What have you done to yourself? If you remember, please feel free to share what you reached out to me the day before and asked me.
So when Tracy came to me, I didn't know her at all. Literally. I mean, I have
Right.
heard of her because she's a good friend of a friend,
Yeah,
but I think I shook her hand one time and never, hadn't really had a conversation. So I didn't have
totally.
prior knowledge of her or her history at all. I actually prefer to work with people that I don't know for that reason. 'Cause if I know you, they might think, "Well, she knew that I have a chronic whatever," you know?
Totally.
So in this case, I didn't know, and I always try to start with a few icebreakers. So whenever someone books a Biofield scan with me, I go on multiple times a couple days before. Like I'm spending sometimes, 6 hours before we even get on the call doing my research and gathering data from multiple different days and times throughout those days because I'm looking for patterns. So when I was doing Tracy in the days prepping, she was, I think you guys were traveling, I think it was around the holidays, maybe traveling back and forth to a family member's home. And I kept seeing a couple times on the profile that she was having like arm pain, literally. So I just text her, just picked up the phone because I wanted to go down the rabbit hole of maybe why, but
Right.
if, but I wasn't sure that she was having arm pain. So I text her. I was like, hey, this is gonna sound random, but like, are does your arm hurt?
Yes.
You She was like, "Well, yes, actually, arm does hurt, right?" What were you like, in that moment, you were like, "How the hell would she know this?"
I didn't even tell, my husband. It's one of those, we have all of our aches and pains we keep to ourselves. But it definitely was painful. I could feel it. It didn't feel great. Took Advil to take care of it, used a massage gun, so it wasn't just like, "Oh, I may have had a little something there, but, yeah, I'm good." No, this had been something that was lingering.
And I think I'd asked you a question about, like, eating, like, some certain kind of food, and you're like, "Yes, like, absolutely, we just had" what was it? Do you remember?
It was so specific. You asked if I had had some kinda, like, sesame, it was some kinda oil, but you
Okay.
up on sesame, and I had
Yep.
just surprised my husband with a lunch from a dumpling house, and so
Yes.
we just had lunch together.
Yeah, so it's picking up, like, seed oils are bad for you, so it's literally like, that was coming up high, so I'm like, what is this?" And then I also, I bioscanned your husband, and my biggest takeaway from that was just hilarious to me that when we went into it, I don't know how you talked him into it, but
I don't know
I think
either.
he was kinda skeptical, but after it was over, he just was, like, staring at the screen, he's like, I'm just kinda I don't even know what to say." Uh, my wife made it sound like we were gonna talk about my health, but I'm leaving here knowing some things about, like, unhealed childhood trauma that I need to work. It wasn't for him, it wasn't really health related at all besides him, like, "You need to cut back the peanut butter," right? So, I mean, it just they all go a different way. It literally I use my own intuition heavily. I heavily rely on that to to guide the session, but the data is the data, and when I first started doing them, I was afraid of I have some panels that are really deep emotional, and I used to almost wanna skip those because it was really awkward for it to literally show someone's, like, top stressor, and it might, come up with the word greedy and so it's, like, awkward if you're like, "Oh, the scanner says you're greedy." I had to learn that people need to hear it, and so part of my delivery is I'm just gonna be straight up. I'm gonna say what it says because I might be the only one that ever tells you. And sometimes when it comes from someone that isn't in your, inner circle, it means it's weighted heavier because you're like, you deep down knew that about yourself, but you need someone to, say it. And it sets people on this trajectory. And I hear the same thing over and over again. I get calls every week. You're not gonna believe this. I'm like, try me. I manifested this whole thing out of thin air, like, I know what's possible, 15 I spent 15 years in commercial real estate, and so residential and commercial real estate where I worked inside of a model home, and it was a completely different career, but I mean, anything's possible. I've literally re-educated myself to do this because I wanna be in service to others, and I wanna help people reach their full potential, and you're not gonna be able to do that if you're constantly stuck repeating these same negative toxic patterns or having all this heavy trauma that, was inflicted on you, in your younger years, whether, you know about it or not. I mean, it's still gotta go, right? And then on top of that, I started uncovering the layers of, well, we're clearing our trauma, but there is also still like real physical toxins in the body. And so on top of all the energetic tools, I started educating myself in like actual like protocols for functional medicine, Ayurveda, all those kind of things to add in addition. Tracy's kind of been with me from the beginning, and I started out doing parasite cleanses with just sound on advice from a friend. He was like, "Don't you use your sound machine on the full moon, like with with the parasite cleanse frequency?" And I thought, "No, never heard of that before." So I tried it. I try everything myself, and I mean, sure enough, I was had like a massive movement like shortly after I got off this session. I'm thinking, wow, like the sound made me go to the bathroom. Like,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, that's crazy. So they started like inviting, my clients to come and try it. And like we would all get together. I'm like, okay, tonight's the night, 9 o'clock, like everyone get on. And like I would get 15 text messages afterwards, like, oh my gosh, like we cleaned our colons. Like sound was
I was
doing that.
one.
Yes. Literally, like
Yeah.
sound was doing that. So then I was like, okay, wow, well, let's like add things to it. So I started educating myself functional medicine. So, we pair herbs with those now to help and binders and stuff like that to just like take everything to the next level. So it's been it's been really an incredible journey, and it's totally life changing. I mean, the information once you go there, like you're not coming back. So there's only one way from here, and it's just keep going up.
And I will say, when you work with Whitney and you do, which I highly recommend, you do the bio scan. What a great way to assess and really see things that are not on your radar. What's on your radar is what you saw being debated on NPR, the guy who cut you off on the freeway. I will say this scan, I still pull her assessment from what was revealed in my scan. I pull the screenshots that I took from this scan, and I still apply in what I eat, what I maintain.
Yes.
Came into a, rut of, like, a couple of months where I'm like, "What is going on?" And yes, I was dealing with, some, PCOS complications, sure, that's there, but I felt it cross over into my mental state and into my cognitive state, and I'm not a fan of that. I went back and pulled out that bioscan, and I looked at my stressors, and I'm like, "No, sis, we're gonna focus on these stressors. We're not gonna say, 'Oh, it's the PCOS. What can I do?' It's making me feel screw that, like, what can I do? What can I?" And this is such a, like, human playbook of you. I started going back, really focusing on those things, not focusing on what the doctor's telling me, "You're gonna have surgery," and no, I'm not. Give me a sec.
Yes.
Let me take this over. Exactly. And sure enough, little by little, every time something went in a spiral or that mental fogginess, nah, we put a stop to that. We got back to it. And then by opening up that playbook, I was able to remember other things. I was just like, you know what? I forgot we did talk about that. I do see how I'm kind of getting back to that behavioral pattern, or I'm letting that come in, have a little presence in the trauma field again. And no, no, it's time to cut it out. So like I said, I highly recommend to anybody this bioscan. And if your doctor is trying to send you to go and get blood work and you're like, this is, the bill is up to 600 to $1,000. That's a normal blood panel request from your doctor, especially if you don't have insurance. So go here. Go here because for her fee, like, you are getting so much and you're getting and like she said, she's not just covering, seed oils and inflammation, and you actually picked up on yes, this is something I almost forgot. You were like, "Hey, do you have the flu?" And I was like, "No, Nick, was traveling.
Yeah.
He's got it, but we're separate." And you were like, "I have some pretty elevated counts for you." That next day, I was at the grocery store getting throat lozenges, getting everything because I felt something coming on, and I literally had the flu. So, yes, this scan is tremendous, it's incredible, and that's just it, like, it's worth every penny because the time that you spend on it versus going to a lab, getting the blood work, okay, here it is in a quick 15-minute one-on-one with your doctor, just about that specific, vital that they were checking. I mean, you're doing head to toe stuff. You found trauma in my mother's second trimester of
Yep.
helping me, which was incredible. And it comes down to you, the person. What kind of work do you want to do? Uh, and for me, Whitney was my last really big breadcrumb for this leg of like my first 40 years and really setting myself to be thrusted into the next 30, 40 years of my life. So I was ready. And then I started connecting to every single little thing. So now that we talked about the bioscan, which is such an important step, do you traditionally work with clients to begin sound therapy, the Rasha? Is that like the main process?
So at the beginning, a lot of people were just doing just sound, just Rasha, right? So it just depends on the person. If they want to work one-on-one with me, I absolutely do that. It typically starts with a biofield scan. If it's too complicated for them to wrap their head around. So
Sure.
if it's something you're like, that just sounds way too woo for me, a biofield scan, or like it's going to cost more because just part of it, like we could do like literal like functional medicine testing where we do, hair urine analysis, things like that. I'm ultimately going to get the same data, but it's going to cost like double the amount, but we can do that too. And then there's some things that the bioscanner isn't great at picking up on. It shows a lot of imbalances, but let's say like women, my age, perimenopausal age, doing hormones would definitely need more data than just a biofield scan. But so we could start either way. And with the frequencies, I can do the same. So you can work one on one with me where you start with a biofield scan or labs. And then from there, I design a wellness protocol, typically work together, 4 months for that. And that includes a frequency playlist that's designed to your biology based on what we found. And so have amazing results with that. Or you can kind of do it yourself, where you can have a platform that's virtual where you can log on and have 96 different times a month that you can choose from. All those sessions are ran live. So you can pick one at your leisure. You just really need your headphones. I prefer headphones that plug in. I'm just old school. I don't use Bluetooth, but I mean, it is up to you, whatever you have. So a good quality pair of headphones and Wi-Fi and a cell phone, and you log into the app and you'll have access to my frequency playlists that are designed. They're the ones that I used when I started my self-healing journey, and I used with all my friends, and they're so good. I have that core few playlist, and then we do cool things throughout the month. We do parasite cleanses with the frequency that you can hop onto and pair with any sort of parasite protocols you might have at home. I have amazing results with that. I have a playlist set up for addictions. I have a lot of people that come and they're, I want to quit smoking, or, I can't quit eating this chocolate at night, stuff like that. So I have different playlists that run that you can come in for a low cost and do it yourself. Not everyone needs someone to walk with them, but I absolutely love to do that. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I can kind of do both.
So what about if somebody comes to you or somebody watching this and they're like, I have a great frequency on YouTube that I listen to, I go to sleep to. I feel very calm and relaxed, or, I have binaural beat headphones. How do you speak to that individual to
I
kind
would
of
tell them,
explain the difference?
have they ever seen the Kanye video about the 808 beat? I mean, not all frequencies are created equal. All the ones besides the ones I have are not designed with the right kind of math. And so they're not going to take you where you need to go. You can go on YouTube and listen to some frequencies that might make you feel calm. They might help you meditate, but they're not going to reactivate your cellular structure. They're not going to help turn on your dormant DNA, right? So I work with high level frequencies designed by people that are way smarter than me, PhD. So these frequencies are a different form of math. And so, what makes my sound sessions different than literally anything else, there's not anything else like it in the world, to be honest with you. There's not another base 12 scalar sound system that's designed like this one. I literally like bet my entire life on this because that's how much I believe in it. So
Yeah.
how it works is it's based on math called base 12 math. And what that is it's a multiplication. And so it's the blueprint for all of the universe, essentially. So all the frequencies are designed with that ratio in mind, so they get to where they need to go and they deliver information. Like that's what people don't understand about frequencies. So yes, you can go on YouTube and type in, pineal gland activation frequency, but you don't know what you're getting. Like, you don't know who designed that. You don't know what they put in there and then took the audio to silent so that you hear, like, like, sound programs your biology. Like, people don't understand that. The music you listen to programs your biology. As soon as I learned that, I like stopped listening to certain songs. There's certain artists that I may have liked the artist, but I know will no longer listen to their music because the lyrics of their songs are literal programs, and
Yeah.
you combine the lyrics because your words are tonal, right? Your words mean things too. You combine those lyrics with a low oscillating frequency, and it could totally screw up like your whole biology. So when I like became awake to this fact, I'm a frequency snob. They are not all created equal. So I don't have my player with me, but I have a list of a very extensive collection of base 12 scalar frequencies. And I also have the whole library of the Raymond Royal Rife frequencies and some Dr. Huda Clark frequencies. Those are more traditional, and those are the ones we use behind the parasite cleansing and stuff like that. Not all frequencies are created equal, and just because
Yeah.
you can't hear it doesn't mean that it's not there. And look up the 808 beat and tell me what you think about that. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, these frequencies, and it's a sound. There is no orchestra behind it. There are no instruments behind it. It is a true
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
frequency.
like I guess people thinks like, it's like listening to Enya. And
Right, right, right.
it's literal. It literally sounds like frequency sounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of like sometimes like a drum beat, but what the system is delivering is it's putting the right amount of beats in each ear, and then it's a base 12 system. So when you times two it basically puts your brain into hemisynced within the first few seconds of listening to a session. When your brain is hemisynced, you become what's known as a scalar interferometer. And what that means is you're basically attracting, manifesting, materializing, and drawing into you what it is you want. So it's not for the weak. I instruct people when they go on, you have to be in a right state of mind. It's not a toy. It's not something that you do while you're driving or cooking or even walking. Like, you need to be locked in because you will start to change your biology. You're literally, by using our sessions, you're raising the base pulse oscillation rate of your cells. So that is something never to take lightly, but when you do it and you're relaxed, you can get to where you need to be faster because you're literally changing your frequency. And that's when all the synchronicities start to happen, the life changes start to happen, and the doors start to open. And then you're no longer stuck, in that cloud. So you're able to recognize those things. Essentially what it does is it turns back on your dormant DNA, which a layman's way to say that is like your higher sensory perceptions. ESP is what some people will call that, right? Like intuition, like that. A lot of ours are been turned off, like very heavy, like all the fluoride and all the heavy metals and all the chemicals and toxins. Like, it literally shut off your dormant DNA and all of your higher sensory perception. So what the sound system does is it helps you turn that stuff back on. So I am smarter. I have educated myself. I've given myself a whole new education, which in my opinion has been worth more than the university level bachelor's education I gave myself in college. This one I've given myself over this last 5 or 6 years actually means more to me than that, because I feel like this was the real truth that we'd all been waiting to find, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And my husband also has done Rasha with you. And so I think it's really different to the person as well. Like I said, going back, we're not meant to all be the exact same. So just start walking away from those different platforms and communities that want you to do that. This is about going and finding you and birthing you and all about you. And so for we had a different
Absolutely.
experience. Mine was very like I was hungry for that trauma at that point because I had did years of therapy. I'd worked with a medium to continue a different version of healing. So this was really, once I cleaned out all the external, right? It's everybody else's fault while I'm in therapy. It's everybody else's fault why I'm sad. And it was like once I figured all that out, cleaned up all that, it was incredible within the first couple of weeks. I just had such a euphoric sense of connectedness, self, of seeking truth. And that was something which I was like, huh, that's interesting. You found on the bioscan. But it was like, man, this is way beyond just, being with family, nieces and nephews. And it's like, you're not supposed to lie. No, this is about like the lies in our food, the lies in government, lies just so many places that are starting to definitely dissolve because the frequency is igniting and it's raising and it's lifting. So I got to experience that personally. And I will say, like, what you're saying is waking up that DNA. I literally had moments where I was waking up to these beautiful, beautiful ancient ancestral drums from like thousands of years ago from ancestors, and I was just like, "What?" And I was reading and looking up, and for years to come, I will be researching what all happened to me during this experience, because a lot did, and I'm
Definitely.
understanding. I experienced first because I was like, "Just go, just experience it all." But now I'm truly understanding, and that scalar, like that harmonic, like wave, like connection, and it was just so like so open, and the things I was hearing and noticing, and I was getting ready for work one day, was putting on my makeup in the mirror, and a voice said, "Stop all the BS. Stop trying to be a makeup artist. Stop trying to work in beauty. You're a writer, you're a storyteller, you're creative. You need to get going." And it didn't feel like me. And if you listen to a lot of people in this genre, you'll hear a lot of them say there was a voice. It was my voice, but it came from somewhere else. And that seriously happened. And it was like, when to buck up and to listen. Since then, like, this was never on my radar. Speaking on a camera to people and interviewing, like, I just wanted to be a corporate 9 to 5 crusher. Like, I was going to, climb my way to success through a 9 to 5 lifestyle. And that could be far from where things are at for me now. When you are doing this high level therapy and you are really working with yourself, I could say from experience, I mean, so much will pour out of you and come out of you as far as where you need to go. Sure, I still have moments where things try to pull me out of my grounding patterns that I have, how I maintain balance because life happens, but it no longer is gonna break me. People who are like, "I can't get out. I can't go to that concert. I can't go to Thanksgiving because everybody's just gonna be attacking each other," and it's like, it takes that and it puts you back into the situation, the scenario to handle what's happening and to also, like, grow yourself. So it was incredible what I saw, and each step of the way was just vision, vision. Here's what's next for you. Here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to tackle. Here's what you need to research. And I saw my aura, which was so beautiful to see during a meditation. I had this connectedness to every single person who was of my like deep, deep rooted ethnicity. It was so beautiful. You just somebody who's really big right now and popular is Mel Robbins, and that just flowed naturally. That is like more of our natural state of being. Like, love with one another and just let them. You do you, because you can't deny
Um,
once you hit this kind of core, this heart driven, energetic field, there's no denying. It's about we all have room here. We wanna work together. It's a very, very ancient way of civilization that, it feels like things are shifting back to. One of the things that is a personal favorite of mine, it was nowhere near on my radar, but you were very big into seed oils, fluoride. Talk to us about what those do to us. We just think, "Oh, it's a bag of chips." Like, I know I'm cheating, but
that's, it's a petroleum-based product. I mean,
yeah.
That's what you're eating plastic. But they package it in a way to where, it seems okay because these are healthy chips, and there's only 100 calories, but you look at the back and it's full of, canola oil, safflower oil, rapeseed oil. I mean, all these things are petroleum derived products and they're not made for human consumption. But along the way, the people up here have decided that they buy up all the companies and, they work for the three-letter agencies that give those things the stamp of approval for human consumption, and it's been known a long time that those are known to cause disease. They screw up women's hormones, and I mean, they're not telling you about it. We've been all slathering ourselves in Bath and Body Works, since we were little girls, thinking that that's, what we were supposed to do, or even just the makeup. I mean, the toxic makeup too. But when I started educating myself more on like the actual like physical biology and realizing like that like wreaks havoc on your DNA, right? It's a contributor to leaky gut, which is like a whole rabbit hole of like how do these weird parasites like get into places they shouldn't be. It's because the products you're consuming, unbeknownst to you, because no one's educated us about this, are eating through the lining of, your gut wall. So it's all connected. And that's my specialty. I started out working with people that were really sick. And I'll be honest, I can still do that, but I actually prefer not to. It was really emotional for me, right? Like I mean, I would like have a consultation with a client and then need to go in my room and cry. And so I actually just spent the last 24 weeks in a very extensive training with the inventor of the Rasha technology, where he took a small group of us and we sat on calls every week for over an hour and learned about like our responsibility. And it really just changed my whole perspective about
That's
it
incredible.
because I no longer, one of the big things he taught me there was like, I cannot let your shit affect me because I'm the light here, right? So like I have to hold neutrality so that you can heal yourself. Like I don't heal you, and neither does the Rasha, and neither does the bioscanner, right? We're opening a door and we're giving you tools. But what I struggle with sometimes, and I always have to come back here, is I have to remain neutral. Like I can't, like let's say you had some sort of sexual trauma or something, it's uncomfortable to talk about. I can't get all wrapped up in you with that because then my perception of that, because we're connected via scalar, frequencies, I will distort your session by, putting my empathy towards you. So
Mhm.
I have to kind of have this, I use the word wall, but it's not because I don't care. It's because I have to protect myself in order to protect
Sure.
you and hold that space so that I don't bring like all these other people's BS like into you, right?
And didn't I even
Because
hear you one time say you were like, "I have to be in a very good place when I'm running this machine for all of my clients."
I take it very seriously. You're not going to catch me in large crowds for very long, because I understand like energetic hygiene. And the reason during COVID they wanted us all to be 6 feet away or more is because when you're within someone's morphogenetic field, so another word for that is a biofield, right? Like some people's are 6 feet. If you're sick or have trauma, you're instead of 6 feet, you're more like, you barely even have one. And then what I teach people is to expand it huge. So like I feel like my radius that surrounds me is like a 60-foot orb, right? So like anyone that I'm close to, it affects me. And so I'm very careful about that kind of stuff. So I hold my energetic neutrality and hygiene. I take all that very seriously so that I can be the facilitator for all these other people, like hold the light. And I'll tell you, you said something earlier that I wanted to touch on about, you kind of hit a rock bottom and you're telling yourself like no more. And it's funny because there's not any person that I've dealt with that didn't have to hit the bottom before they worked their way up. It's just a common thread. It couldn't get any worse. So that's when I found Whitney. I wish people would find me first, but I think that's part of the process. It worked
Yeah.
the same way for me. So I was not into any of this. In fact, the friend that introduced us was very into etheric things. And I thought I kind of just would blow her off, to be honest. I'm just like, okay, whatever. But my mom died from COVID. She was one of the first few. before, there were vaccines and all that stuff out.
Mhm.
She was pretty healthy, 61 years old. Um, she called and she said she was having trouble breathing. She was going to go to the hospital and hopefully they would give her breathing treatment. And I was just kind of like, okay, mom, like, yeah, cool. And so she texted me. She's like, they said I have COVID and my oxygen's low. Um, so she actually went back home, and she passed out that night and ended up getting admitted back to the hospital and she never came out.
Mm.
So, I mean, I didn't even, I mean, I just thought like, hey, she's going to go get some breathing treatments and I'll like see her this weekend. And she never came out of there. And then I realized that what I want to do, my mission, I want people to not have to get there, right? Like, I want your immune system to be so strong that you don't get freaking COVID. Because guess what? Like, people in my family, my household, we don't really get sick anymore. It is very rare that we have all the stuff that goes around. I used to get every little thing, all the allergies, every time there was a flu, every cold, all of the pneumonias, like all the time. But since I started like taking care of my body, cleaning my body, raising my frequency, using the Rasha, doing all that stuff, I do not get sick. My stepkids come over and like one of them has the flu. I'm like, I'm not worried about getting it. Like I know I'm not gonna get it
That's crazy.
because my frequency literally cannot support that. It's not saying like we never get sick, right?
Yeah.
But the sick that I get now is mostly self-inflicted when I do like a detox a little too hard or something, like that'll set it off. But like all that other BS, like it just doesn't really exist for us anymore.
Let's segue a little because of how you're kind of coming into the zone of detox, which sure, everything you do essentially has a detoxing effect to us, to our soul, our bodies, our cells, DNA, personalities. But let's get into something that I haven't tried with you. I want to your parasite cleanses. Like, what are the things that you're really, like, cleaning out when they do this with you, this detox?
Right. So I do parasite cleanses and now I use a parasite cleansing kit that has herbs and binders so that it's more powerful. Parasite cleansing is not like a place to start unless you've already done a little bit of pre-work. You really want to make sure your lymphatic system is open first.
That's great
And so
advice.
what that means is, um, are you constipated all the time? If you're one that's like always constipated, like that's a sign that your lymphatic system is blocked. And what that is it's, a system right underneath your skin where all your lymph nodes are. And it, here, your neck, all around your chest area, groin, ankles, knees. There's some like around your elbows. That's your body's waste removal system. So a lot of it, when I scan people, it's incredible at picking up lymphatic system energetic blockages. I had a client come to me and he basically was just like, I want to get my shit together. That's how it starts for a lot of people. So I'm like, great. Like, I love it. I love helping people get their shit together, right? It wasn't about like anything really health wise. I mean, it was like, I'm a single dad now. I'm changing careers. I'm just coming out of a bad life situation. I want to start dating again and, just get it together. And so I did the bioscan on him. A lot of times people don't tell me, their whole, like, especially health history. So I didn't have any of that. It's better if I do, but he just didn't mention it, which is no problem. So I had to find it on the scanner, which I didn't really know what I was looking for. But when I'm getting into it, I mean, I didn't get very far into it before I was like, bro, like, what is going on here? Because all I'm seeing on this scan, every I'm seeing parasites like out the wazoo and like glyphosate, which is like Roundup weed killer. And
Oh
at
my
the time,
god.
I wasn't really connecting all the dots because I had found the bioscanner was showing parasites in, you know, liver flukes, pancreatic flukes, like blood, like, and I was thinking, how the hell did these like get everywhere? I keep seeing over and over again a pattern of like high levels of exposure to glyphosate Roundup. So I asked him, this is what it's showing. Are you like a avid gardener? Like, what's up with
Yeah.
you? Like, being exposed to all
Farmer.
this Roundup?
Yeah.
By the way, that's super toxic, whatever. And he like just stops and starts staring. We're on the Zoom, and he's staring at the screen, and he's like, "Well, you're not gonna believe this." Yes, I am. Go ahead. You're not gonna believe this, but, I had a job for, a long time. I worked at a lawn care company, and what I did there, I was in charge of spraying the weed killer. And he's like, I would get mad sometimes at my boss because my boss would call and say, the customer's complaining that their weeds are coming back. And he's like, I would get so pissed. I would mix that shit like extra strong without gloves, without a mask. And,
Oh my
this was a long
gosh.
time ago. So he was just wasn't educated about that, right?
Yeah.
That's kinda just come out within the last 5 or 10 years, right? So, I mean, he had no idea the glyphosate that he had been exposed to years prior to doing what he does now had eaten holes through his intestinal lining. I mean, it essentially, like, I imagine
Oh
it
my
to look
god.
like someone shot it with a shotgun, right? And so, he's an avid hunter, fisherman, all the stuff where you catch it, we cook it kinda shit. And
Yeah.
so that connected, like, that's how the parasites got everywhere. And so he's like, "Oh, well, you're not gonna believe this," again, but when I went to my doctor, my doctor basically told me, like, my liver needed help, and I was in a stage whatever liver failure, and, it's because of the parasites. And so once we started to put all this together and we started to fix it, he did use sound. But we also use a particular protocol that is very strong herbs, like tinctures, like herbs and like stuff that kills parasites, stuff that binds the metals, pulls it out. I put him through like a 4-month process. Like we started with lymphatics
Wow.
because we had parasites in the lymphatics, right? So we started with opening lymph, and then we did a little something in between, and then we did some parasite cleansing. And sure as shit, I get a text message from the guy, um, July this year, and he texts me that he went back to his same doctor that was basically like, "What the hell's going on?" His liver numbers are back well within normal range, so he had reversed
Mm.
all of
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah. With sound and herbs, by the way, sound and freaking herbs.
That's incredible. And that was
Sound and herbs.
damage. It sounds like it was just straight Swiss cheese in his system, which holes are not good. Yeah, whatsoever.
Just people don't like, I have little dogs and I love my little dogs, right? But when I started parasite cleansing myself and seeing like 12-inch long worms come out in the toilet, and then I can bioscan pets. Okay, I don't love to, but I can. So I do it for friends and family and my own all the time. The energetic signature of the parasites that were showing up high on them were the same ones showing up high on me. And so I took that and ran with it. So I parasite cleansed myself and my damn dogs together, and we're like pooping the same worms. I mean,
Oh
they
my
sleep in
god.
our bed. We love them, right? So, but they go out and they're in the yard and they bring that stuff in. So if you have pets in your home, you have parasites. I mean, I hate to break
Yeah,
it, your kids do too,
yeah.
like cats, dogs, if you're oh, you eat meat, it's not just people that eat sushi, right? Like, that's, like, I think a misconception. Like, I do eat a lot of sushi. I eat less now,
Yeah,
than I
sure.
did, but I still eat sushi. I have my parasite cleanse kit, and I just take a couple parasite killers before I go eat the sushi, and then right when I get home, I'll take a bunch of them too, and I don't worry about it, and then they say to do a proper, like, week-long parasite cleanse 3 to 4 times a year, so I follow that schedule, and then if I'm gonna go eat, pretty anything raw, really, I take a para 1 and 2 and para 3 after and a couple binders, and I don't worry about it, but as they're really everywhere. I mean, it's in the water. A lot of stuff I see on the Biofield scanner comes from bites from, a blood-sucking type of insect, whether it's a tick or mosquitoes. Over time, you get bit by these things. They carry viruses and they stack
Wow.
up in your system, and they're called co-infections, right? So, like, I just recently had a client from the past that contacted me. I scanned her almost 2 years ago, and you know, don't I do not diagnose, treat, or cure any medical conditions, but I say, "Look, like, based on what you told me you were coming for, like, skin going crazy, she brain fog, I can't focus." I mean, the poor thing just, like, covered in, like, rashes. I'm like, "Look, like, she pretty sure she was exposed to mold in her, like, environment she was in." So, I'm like, "Look, the bioscanner is not great for picking up mold exposure, but the mold exposure it is picking up is through the roof, so, like, I think that is probably something you should look into. In addition to that, like, I'm seeing, these really elevated viruses. I won't say what they were because I want to keep the person's identity private, but she calls me recently and she's like, yeah, I just got diagnosed with Lyme disease. And she sends me the paperwork of what they found. It's the same shit that I found 2 years prior. She's like, I can't
Wow.
believe that like the doctors don't know this. I had to go way out of my way to get all this very expensive functional medicine lab testing. She
Yep.
spent over $1,000
Easily.
to basically re-verify what I had already said, which makes me happy because it's like, yes, like, because
Yeah.
it's not my job to tell people, w- that I don't diagnose conditions, right? So I can just
Right.
present the data, and what you do with it is what you do with it.
Right.
So she, followed up on that and ended up, they're like, yeah, we verify like this is what's going on. And so she's texting me like, wow, like you really sparked this journey for me. And I'm to the point now where I can go and do something about this. But the point of the story is that like what I found with the bioscanner for less than $400, years later was then again found for double the amount.
Uh,
But that's not even the protocol to help her with that, right? So the sad part is our whole system is not set up to heal you of anything. It's
Yeah.
set up so you keep paying. Like chronic illness means chronic paychecks. You know what I mean? So like my whole thing has been like, I don't want you to pay me for the rest of your life. I want you in and out of here because I want you to give you the tools to heal your damn self. Like
Yeah.
it's happening like, over and over again. I'm happy that she like found that, but it's validating to me because it's like, man, I found that a long time ago. So I
Yeah.
mean, even I sometimes struggle with imposter syndrome, right? There's all these huge, popular names in this field, but I think even a lot of them are missing the point. Like they're like just doing
Sure.
functional medicine or they're just doing energetics or they're doing Reiki or or all these things where I I actually look at the entire picture from
Yeah.
your physical meat suit to your like morphogenetic field. Like,
Yep.
I can see things before they even freaking happen. I had a friend that I did a bioscan on. A friend of mine came in and we were, kind of just ice breaking, right? And I like to say things that if especially if it's kind of awkward, if I don't know you, I try to maybe say some things that are funny at the beginning or, ask you things like, hey, is your arm hurting? Just kind of icebreakers. And so one of them for her, I just thought was interesting. I asked because it literally like 3 times while I was in the scanner, it just kept saying like she had a high like imbalance for diarrhea. And so I was like, hey girl, do you have diarrhea? And she was like, no, I don't have diarrhea. I'm
Yeah, of
like, okay,
course.
cool.
No.
I don't have diarrhea. She texted me the next day. She's like, I don't know how your computer knew this, but I've had diarrhea all day. So the scanner picked up, the diarrhea
Yep.
before it became physical.
Yep.
Okay, I'll tell you another story. I'm going to tell on myself.
I could
This is,
have you on an episode with just stories alone. Please,
I'm going
people,
to tell on my
share.
own self.
Yeah.
Okay. So I buy the Biofield scanner. None of this stuff, these decisions come lightly, right? So
Mhm.
I'm very excited to get it. You have to like sign for it. But I see on the UPS app, like it's coming, but I have an appointment. Like I have to leave. I was headed downtown to go get a little Botox. Okay. I stopped doing it, as you could see, because learned about how toxic it is. I was doing that at the time. So I was like, man, I really have to leave for the appointment. So I but I knew the scanner was kind of on the way, but I just thought I was going to miss it. So I was like, well, I guess I need this Botox. So I'm just going to go ahead and go. And I guess they'll call me and we'll schedule like a delivery another time. So I'm headed out. I stop by the gas station on my way. I'm pumping gas and I look up and I see the UPS guy like drive by. I drive back home and I basically like intercept the guy, really excited. So I come in and I just like rip the box open. I've never used the bioscanner before. I had literally no training on it. I since have gone through, training and become a certified bioenergetic health coach, but at the time I just didn't know. Ripped it open, put in my information, put my picture in there, put everything it asked for, pulled myself up. I'm in a hurry because I do still have to go and scan myself. And I didn't really understand what I was looking at. But the first thing it popped up was petroleum gas and it didn't register to me.
Yeah.
I was, like, thinking, like, gas, like, cooking on a stove, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't eaten anything today yet," and I didn't cook on the stove. So I was just kinda like, "Oh, this thing don't work," or whatever, and I just kinda, like, shut it. And then I get to the car, and I'm driving downtown to get my Botox, right? So when I'm in the car, I'm like I drove past the gas station. I was like, "Oh, shit, it was
There it
the
is.
gas."
Yep.
The
Yep.
scanner picked up on the gas, and because I had gotten a little on my hand too, and, like, the fumes
Yep.
of the freaking gas. I was like, "Holy shit." So I'm like, "Man, I wonder I'm about to go put in some toxins in my face. Let's see if that will show up." So I go do it. I come back super curious, so it's the first thing I do. It's the first thing that shows up on there. Is, like, I think I don't know how to pronounce it, but, like, botulinum toxin,
Yeah.
like the, um, medical terminology for Botox, which I just got.
That's incredible. That and
So tell me,
it just explains even more so why somebody like you is necessary at some point, I don't wanna,
it's also why I
like
stopped getting Botox, by the way,
yeah.
because I was like, "Holy shit."
Yeah,
Okay, I have another one.
I don't
Can't
wanna
turn
make
down.
people feel like, okay, so I should just, stop even trying because I suck and I'm full of all these things. It's not that, but why not go and see what life could be by just going and just detoxing? We have no idea, like, and you are just scratching like a very deep, but just the surface. Like, I mean, where you're gonna be in like the next 6 months and the next 12 months and so forth, but what you're capable of doing to really help just clean. And by the way, this is all back to raising your frequency, raising your vibration, the vibration that she is picking up on this bio scanner. Like this shows more than what we can see with our eyes in the mirror, what we see when we touch our skin. Like she was saying, there's being nearby gas, like, yes, it touched her, but there's so many things that are just keeping us down, weighing us down. We think it all has to do with, well, what I'm inputting on a food app diary, or I'm doing dry body scrubbing, like those things are great, but this it really pierces, the energetic field, which I mean, if you really want to get down and dirty, but don't wait. Like she was saying about the one client, and sure, if that happens, like, hey, at least you found your way back. But don't wait because again, like the when your frequency can go up, how you feel in the world will be so much better. You'll be able to, because we're still going to have challenges and bumps in the road, and life is still happening, but we're not stepping out and just being attacked by life. Now we're in control. Like half of the things I used to watch on TV, just by cutting out seed oils, fluoride, drinking water, like I
Yeah.
don't care about that stuff. So it's not necessarily like, well, maybe I just need therapy. It's like, yes, but being so clean and clear and focused and having, this frequency technology and going like just taking that next step with this process, I mean, will just thrust you, it's like a microphone to the universe and to where you're trying to go. And again, I have to stress, this has to do with feeling better and getting better, but a deep-rooted DNA detox soul cleanse. And that's
It's your
literally
birthright. I mean,
it
it
is
really is, like, it
it
is
is
your birthright
our
to
birthright.
I didn't know that. I mean, I from a really small town. I grew up probably just like everybody else, we didn't really have a lot. I didn't even know that because I was surrounded by a lot of love, but I was raised with a mother that had a lot of unhealed trauma, like, from her past, and I didn't know, and that's the same mom that passed away suddenly and before I had got to address that with her, right? So when she is as a part of me, like what another thing people don't realize is when your generational trauma is you're born with it, right? Like you might be struggling and you're like, well, I haven't really had any trauma in my life. It's been kind of cool. I can't really think of anything, but it could have come from your grandmother, right? It literally is passed down into your DNA. So I felt kinda called. A lot of people ask me, like, why I never had kids of my own, and it literally is because I feel the reason that is because I have my before I knew what I was my mission was, right? Like, I had already subconsciously chosen to break that cycle. And so a lot of people I work with, they're similar to me in that way. They're a cycle breaker. They're like, I feel called, like I want to break the generational curse and cycle and trauma. Like it ends, like this line ends here, right? It's your birthright to reach your full human potential. But we are here. We do live on, like, we live on this earth, we live on 3D earth, like, we're under a frequency fence that is the negative kind, right? But once you, like, raise your frequency, raise your oscillation rate, you're gonna rise to where you're like, I feel like I operate above that. I have to operate a business inside of, this matrix. I have to live life. I have normal friends that, like, most of my friends, like, aren't into any of this, so it's nice to be able to talk to people like Tracy because, it's like I have these strangers that have become, like, some of my closest friends that I can talk with this deep stuff about, but it's about, like, helping you reach your full potential because everything in this world is designed for that not to happen. If everyone was walking around telepathic, highly connected, like, super intuition, clairaudient, I mean, like, we're, like, literally superheroes. You
Yeah.
just you just don't know it. Like, you have powers, you haven't turned them on. And that's what my sound sessions do. They turn you back on so you can find your power. Like, Tracy, you said something earlier that really stuck with me. How when, the voice came on and it was telling you, like, what you're doing is not what you should be doing. The same thing happened to me. I mean, I was just selling real estate and that voice became so it was so like, I am an introvert. Like, I'm super shy. Like, I do not want to be on camera. I was, like, nervous to click this on today, right? I had to go do a sound session to calm my nerves to get me here, okay? Like, it's not natural for me to be on camera. It's very uncomfortable for me to be public about this. In fact, I, like, hid it for about 2 years because I was afraid everyone was gonna think I had lost my damn mind. They're like, but the calling, it's like, I don't wanna say, like, it's like I don't wanna be doing this, but, like, I was pushed here, like, by something greater than me because it is my natural instinct. This is not natural for me. I had to
Right.
claw my way here. I've invested a lot in myself. And advice I could give to someone, like, wanting to make a change would be, like, I didn't get to where I am by not taking risks. And so some of the risks I took were financial. And what I mean by that is I invested in myself. So I had to re-educate. I've thousands, tens of thousands of dollars re-educating myself because the education that I received in the public setting it's not even the real information.
Yeah.
Even, like, the world as we know it is, I mean, a couple billion years older than they're telling you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. There's more planets in the solar system than they told you. I mean, originally there was 12.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where base 12 comes from. A few of them are missing, right? But that's, like, there's just so much that you're not told. And so the shortcut would be I invested in people to help me get there faster, right? So, like, I wanted to work on healing myself. So I invested in, committing to doing a bunch of Rasha sessions for a 3-month block of time, right? When I needed to grow the business. So I had to, like, relearn, like, how to market in 2025, right? It's different than what I went to school for. So I had invested in someone to, like, help me do that. Like, you know, h bring people on your team that do things better than you, that can help you get to where you need to go faster, and so that you can work on and hone your craft instead of, before I was always trying to do everything. I thought, I had to be the best coworker, I had to be the best,
Oh, yeah.
stepmom, the best
Oh, yeah.
fiance, the best daughter, the best everything, and I was
Yep.
really just, like, failing at all of it,
Yep.
because all I was doing was just, like, running the rat race all the time,
Oh, yeah.
but when I took my power into my own hands, I realized, like, "Oh, shit. I literally, with my consciousness, I'm creating the reality I live."
Yep.
And it's crazy to think about that, but, like, what you believe, you will perceive, and what you perceive, you will receive,
Yeah.
right? So it's literally, like, about making that tweak, like, no, because I was like, "No, I'm not I don't wanna be, you know, like my mom was." I felt like maybe she had to stay in relationships that she didn't wanna be in because, she didn't have a means out, right? So, like, I've always kinda had that drive, but I didn't realize I wish I would have known this in my 20s, but, it took me till my 30s to figure it out. Like, I
Yeah.
can change my life. Like, I wrote this life I live right now on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
like, years ago. Like, I was, like, trying to manifest it. Like, I literally wrote it out. Like, I wanna own my own business. I don't wanna have a boss. I don't wanna have to I wanna be able to wear yoga. I'm wearing my yoga pants right now. Like, I wanna
Yeah.
be able to wear yoga pants. I'm like, I wrote it down. I said, I wanna be able to help people. I travel all over the world, and, like, I'm literally doing everything on the freaking list.
Yep.
Like, I
Yep.
wrote that. Like, that was me. I wanted this. So, like, whatever, I don't know what is that people want,
Yep.
but whatever it is, like, it's literally possible.
Yep. Yep.
You just have to, like, go do it. And, like, once you start doing it and your frequency's there, like, it's gonna come in, you know? And it's incredible once you I call it get it in, like, the flow state or get,
Yeah.
like, in resonance with what you want.
Absolutely. I think that's a great place to kind of wrap up this interview because I mean, again, I'd love to have you back because we just touched the very top of the surface on what you do, the experiences, after
Yeah.
finishing therapy, it was like, great, yeah, I'm ready for the next. Let's really heal, the trauma with my mom. I couldn't even be around her because it was so bad. But, after Rasha, I have compassion for her. I understand what she's going through and what she's been through. We can exist. We can be in the same room together. There is no like screw you, that's really hard to see, but it's very real. And if somebody is going through that, that is how they're feeling, but you don't have to. You don't have to live there and you can get going. One of the things too that I'll say, just as like if for anybody who, is thinking, okay, this might be something I'll look into. I never left my house. I know we said that earlier, but
Yeah.
you go into a room, you don't have to have anything from Lululemon, you don't have to have anything but other than a good strong Wi-Fi signal in a quiet space, and you just go into it. And Whitney does work directly with her clients to, guide you through what you're getting into, guide you through the meditation, the frequency. But please, yeah, you don't need anything other than Wi-Fi, really good headphones, and time with her. I want to encourage everybody to go to your website, sign up. I know you do something called a discovery call. So
Yes.
if you want to go ahead and tell us that and how you would love to have people reach out to you,
Yeah.
let's do it because I
So
definitely
I
want
will
that.
send you the links to my site and discovery call so you can drop it into the description, I guess.
Yeah,
But that's a
absolutely.
great place to start. If you know that, like, hey, I want to do sound sessions, you can go on vitalenergetics.com and there are sessions set up in there where you can just book them yourself. But if you want to talk more with me or you want to work with me more one on one, do some bioscanning or any functional medicine lab testing. We touched on that briefly, but incredible. So, like, going through perimenopause, want to get a scope on your hormones. We have another lab. Have a minerals and metals, so you could do like a hair sample. We can literally like look at heavy metals. But I wanted to offer the people that are seeing this interview a discount. So if you come in and you book a discovery call with
Amazing.
me, I will offer my sound session platform, buy a month, get a month free. So if you mention like, hey, I saw you on Tracy, an interview with Tracy, then I'll apply that discount to anyone that comes in from there. So
That's
book a
incredible.
discovery call, we can get you set up and the possibilities are really endless. So
I love a good Vital Energetics discount, so much so that me and my husband took advantage of the Black Friday sale that you did. So
right.
please, if this month just isn't the time, we get it, it's the holidays, hit her up in January. Like, definitely take advantage of this and follow her for future opportunities as well. I'll have everything down below. But like I said, she has so much information. A lot of it is really fun too, the way you share things on Instagram.
So find me on Instagram at the frequency chick. And that's where a lot of the good stuff is. And just I'm
Yes.
trying to grow.
You're great. You had a, video around Thanksgiving that got how many views on it just because
I finally got over 1 million views and I'm actually really proud of that. I know it sounds
you
kind of
should
cringy,
be.
but Learning digital marketing has been a bitch, let me tell you. And so like it's a real battle. I'm getting more comfortable on camera and I'm getting more comfortable with knowing what I can and cannot share. Since censorship is very real. And again, like I'm not helping the powers that be make any money. Like people like me are they're not fans of, right? Like helping, you get your power back and heal your damn self. I mean, it's not profitable. So I'm very
Yeah.
careful with what I say. I feel I got a message recently. This guy was like, I feel like you have something to say, but you're just not saying it. Yes. I have a lot of things to
Yes, sir.
say.
That is
Or
true. That is
yes.
very true. Yeah.
So if you want to talk privately, we can do that. But there are a lot of things I'm not saying on that platform specifically because I'm just getting started and I don't want to get shut down before we get
Yeah.
going. So just walking that fine line, but I'm really excited for the time that we're in, on the planet right now, and I think people are waking the fuck up, and I
Yeah.
can't wait. I My fiancé at one point, I think he thought I was nuts, leaving a very, very stable career, like at the peak of it, essentially, to follow a dream that is not proven, right? But he supported the decision, and I will forever be grateful for him for that. But, I would tell him like, "Look, I." He's like, "Well, what's the business plan?" And this and that. I was like, "Look, years ago, I was telling him things like, I don't know. I just know that I'm supposed to be positioned for a time like when it comes." And this like years ago. Well, like now, the time is now. I kind of did it without really knowing what the end was, like a literal leap of faith. And now it's like, oh well, duh. Like that's why I would spend 8 or 9 hours a day researching over 10,000 hours of, like, re-educating myself on this, so and and I didn't really know why at the time. I wasn't like, "I'm gonna start a business and help people." I was just doing that,
That
and it was
breadcrumb,
really
that soul
and it
breadcrumb.
was really those first friends and family that I was helping kinda just as a hobby.
Yeah.
They were like they're the ones that pushed me out the door. They're like, You're taking this on the road, girl." I used to let people come to my home. I don't do that anymore, but, I had a client, she was, like, shaking me. She's like, "Whitney, like, I know someday, like, this is gonna be bigger, like, you have to do," like, I'm like, it's people like that that, like, have supported me and encouraged me to do this. Like, it really wasn't my idea to be public now, but the support behind it is I'm not doing this for myself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's in service to humanity, and it's really fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's amazing. I mean, that's one of the things that I hope to do with this platform. Yes, being a writer is also something that I'm going to share storytelling, creativity, how those things tie all together. But at the end of the day, if it is raising the frequency, if it is trying to go the true, real, authentic you, if it's trying to help you awaken, remember, it's going to have a place here. The goal is how can I help? So if Whitney didn't speak to you, maybe somebody else will, but I kind of get the feeling she's going to resonate with quite a few people here because you're human and we're tired of feeling like shit and we want to feel better. And it's so much further than what we know and what we've been taught and what we've been educated through like TV and all these old ways of understanding health and living and vitality. So I just thank you again for being here. It was incredible the time you spent with me today. I'd love to have you back. We'll drop everything
Yes,
below.
we should do another one and do, like, talk about, like, hidden history or, like, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Oh yeah, we talked
I'm
about
kind of a
geeking
nerd,
out.
and so I could totally geek out on that for, like,
Y
hours, yes.
Yeah, yeah, anybody's ready to geek out, like, we could take you places, like, I like how we try to one up each other on our geekiness. Thank you, Whitney. I hope everybody takes the opportunity to at least schedule this call with you, and join your newsletter, follow you, and, we'll hope to see you soon, and I will be doing Rasha. I already did it, my first one from my Black Friday sale. I'm excited.
Awesome.
We're gonna get going, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate it.